This is the chilling tale of a 15-year-old boy named Daniel, whose life was torn apart in a single night. He had once lived happily with his family, part of a wealthy household and the only child of his parents. They showered him with love and care, ensuring he lacked for nothing. But everything changed the night tragedy struck. His parents were on their way to pick him up from a friend's birthday party when something terrifying happened. Driving through the dense woods, a woman appeared out of nowhere, stepping directly in front of their car. Before they could react, Daniel's father swerved, losing control, and their car struck the woman with brutal force. The crash was so violent, both the woman and Daniel's parents were killed instantly. Devastated, Daniel was left utterly alone. With no other family close by, his only option was to go live with his aunt and uncle in a distant town. His aunt and uncle, though kind-hearted and without children of their own, welcomed him with open arms. They were overjoyed to have him, but Daniel's grief consumed him. They lived in a small, secluded cottage far from civilization, surrounded by nothing but the haunting emptiness of the wilderness. The isolation pressed on Daniel's mind, amplifying his loneliness and grief for the parents he had lost. Despite their warmth, Daniel could never shake the haunting sense of abandonment. He could barely escape the memories of the horrific night, but his aunt and uncle tried everything to comfort him. Slowly, Daniel began to heal. He started smiling again, forming a bond with his aunt and uncle, but the shadows of his past were never far behind. Then, one night, something horrifying happened, a terrifying encounter that would haunt him forever. The next morning, Daniel was shaken to his core. He rushed to his aunt and uncle, desperate to tell them what he had seen, something standing in his window, watching him, but they dismissed it. They've lived there for years without a single strange occurrence, they reassured him. You're just imagining things. It's probably just a nightmare. But Daniel knew what he saw. The fear was real. The next night, as he was drifting to sleep, the atmosphere around him shifted. He heard footsteps, slow and deliberate, coming closer, but there was no one there. The room was pitch black. "Auntie, Uncle?" Daniel called out, his voice trembling. "Daniel, Daniel," came a chilling whisper from the shadows. Frightened, Daniel rushed to his aunt and uncle, desperate to tell them everything. His terror was palpable, and his once hopeful demeanor was now shattered. For the next few nights, sleep became a distant memory. Daniel could barely close his eyes without feeling as if someone was waiting in the dark. His health deteriorated rapidly. He grew withdrawn, his once vibrant self fading away. Unable to watch him suffer, his aunt and uncle decided to take him to a psychiatrist. The doctor diagnosed Daniel with severe trauma-induced schizophrenia. He explained that the sudden loss of his parents had fractured Daniel's mind, making him see things that weren't really there. The psychiatrist gave them medication, warning that if Daniel didn't take it regularly, his condition could spiral out of control. Despite their best efforts, Daniel's condition worsened. One night, his uncle fell ill, forcing his aunt to rush him to the hospital. With Daniel still asleep, his aunt left, locking him in the house. She didn't want to disturb him, fearing he wouldn't be able to fall back asleep. But the silence in the house woke Daniel. "Auntie, Uncle," he called, but there was no answer. He realized in a sudden panic that he was alone. Fear washed over him as he realized what that meant. He was vulnerable, alone. The woman from the woods would be back, and there would be no one to save him. His anxiety exploded. He frantically searched for his medication, but it was nowhere to be found. Panicked, he tore through the house, desperate for the pills that might calm his mind before it shattered completely. Then, in his aunt's bedroom, he found something that made his blood run cold, something he wasn't meant to see, a mask. It wasn't just any mask. It was the key to an awful truth. His aunt and uncle weren't trying to help him. They were trying to drive him insane, to make him lose his grip on reality so they could have access to the vast fortune his parents had left behind. They had planned to send him to an asylum and collect everything, but Daniel uncovered their secret. He called the police, exposing their cruel plot. His aunt and uncle were arrested, their greed finally catching up with them. Thank you for watching. I hope you were as terrified as I was telling this story. Please don't forget to subscribe, and huge thanks to my patrons for supporting my work outside YouTube. Stay tuned for the next spine-chilling tale. Until then, good night.